So, what if everything you thought you knew about physics, what if it's based on, like, a foundational misunderstanding? Like, are the laws of physics just handed down from somewhere, or do they actually emerge from something deeper, something more fundamental?
That's exactly the rabbit hole we're going down today. Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive.
Yeah, well,
We are jumping headfirst into generative physics, specifically looking at volume 2 of this really groundbreaking framework.
and it's building on generative ontology, right?
Yeah.
Moving from those deep structures to how things actually, well, show up physically.
Precisely. It's about manifestation. How does the underlying potential become, well, this, our
Yeah.
physical reality?
It feels like a total paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Like, forget seeing reality as just fixed laws pushing matter around.
Right.
This framework says it's more of a dynamic, generative process.
Yeah.
And it emerges from something called ontological coherence.
Yeah, it swaps out that old mechanical determinism for something, well, much more fluid. Think resonance structuring instead of just cause and effect.
Okay, so our mission today is basically to guide you through the key ideas in the generative physics outline source material. We're going to pull out the really important stuff, the surprising bits.
We want to give you that shortcut, those aha moments, without drowning you in jargon. It points to a universe that's, frankly, way more interconnected and, dare I say, alive than the standard picture.
Definitely feels that way. Yeah. So where do we start? You mentioned a roadmap.
Yes, the sources lay out this fantastic 4-layer ontology of physics. Think of it as descending levels of reality, from the absolute potential down to what we see and touch.
Okay, layer 1.
That's the omnilectic invariance. It's described as pre-structural, timeless, the source of all potential, before anything exists, really.
Like the ultimate cosmic blank slate, pure potentiality.
Exactly. Infinite coherence, undifferentiated. Then you move down, or maybe out, to the Hall electric field layer.
Hall electric.
Yep.
Okay, what happens there?
This is where the first hints of structure emerge. Think dimensionality, phase, field potential. It's like the universe deciding on its basic operating system. It bridges that pure invariance to, something more defined.
Got it. So potential starts getting channeled, kind of. What's the next layer down? The relational layer.
The relational layer. This is where interactions really kick off. We start seeing things that look like gauge fields, the seeds of particle forces, even temporal structures.
So like the forces we know, electromagnetism, gravity, do they start here?
Sort of. The standard model fields we're familiar with are seen here as reduced coherence structures. They're like lower resolution versions of something more fundamental happening at this relational layer.
Okay, reduced versions.
Yeah.
Interesting. Which brings us, I guess, to the bottom layer,
Yeah.
the derived layer.
That's the one. The derived layer is basically our everyday observable reality, space, time, matter as we experience them.
So the stuff physics usually studies.
Exactly. But the key point here is that it's derived. It's the end result of all these deeper generative processes, not the fundamental starting point.
Wow. Okay, and overseeing all of this, there's this concept called the universal field tensor. Hey, that sounds intense.
It is pretty abstract, yeah.
It exists before space-time. How does that even work?
Well, think of A not as a thing in space, but as the hyperdimensional blueprint. It's the coherence-encoded information, the source code, if you will, that dictates how reality can unfold. It contains all possibilities.
This source code. Okay. And this relates to how dimensions themselves come about. You mentioned dimensional emergence.
Right. This is revolutionary. Dimensions aren't fixed boxes. They aren't just there.
They're not.
No, they're described as resonant scaffolds. They emerge dynamically. They unfold based on the coherence of the underlying field.
So, like, 3D space isn't fundamental. It just happened.
Yeah.
Because it was a stable resonance.
That's the idea. And it implies there could be other stable resonances, other coherence nested layers, higher dimensions perhaps, or different kinds of dimensional structures entirely.
Accessible how? Through consciousness.
Or the sources hint at things like recursive temporal states, entanglement fields, potentially accessible through, yes, consciousness or specific physical conditions. Our 3D reality might just be one channel on a much larger cosmic TV.
Mind blown. Okay,
Right.
And this completely reframes basic stuff, right? Like mass, charge, spin.
Totally. They're not seen as just inherent properties stuck onto particles. They're coherent signatures.
Signatures. Like a unique fingerprint in the field.
Yeah.
Or a specific vibrational pattern.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, like different ways coherence can concentrate or express itself stably within that universal field tensor. Different stable frequencies almost.
And forces, too. Gravity, electromagnetism.
Ah,
They're not external pushes and pulls anymore.
nope. They're described as coherence couplings or even deformations within the fields themselves.
Deformations. So when an apple falls, it's not really being pulled by gravity in the old sense.
It's more like it's following a slope, a gradient in the coherence field. The sources call gravity a hypercoherence gradient. Things naturally move towards states or areas of greater coherence, greater stability.
So the apple isn't being forced down, it's finding its most stable place in the field's structure.
Precisely. Think of water flowing downhill. The slope isn't a force pushing it, it's the structure of the land guiding it. It's a subtle but profound difference.
It really is. Okay, this is leading somewhere I find fascinating. The observer. Quantum mechanics always struggled with this. What does generative physics say?
It's maybe one of the most radical parts. The observer isn't passive, not just watching the show.
Yeah.
No, the observer is an active asymmetry resonance operator.
Asymmetry resonance operator, what does that do?
It helps collapse coherence into localized structure. Your act of observing isn't just passively receiving information. It actively participates in stabilizing reality.
Wait, so my looking at something helps make it real in that specific way.
How? The idea is generative symmetry resolution. Imagine the underlying field holds countless possibilities, like superimposed images in a hologram. The observer, with their inherent asymmetry, their unique perspective and state, interacts with the field's potential symmetries.
Okay.
This interaction helps resolve those symmetries, collapsing the potential into a specific, stable outcome, like tuning a radio to a specific station. You're not creating the broadcast, but you are selecting which one becomes clear.
So observation isn't destructive, like the old quantum measurement idea. It's creative, generative.
Exactly. It's the moment reality settles into a specific coherence basin, a stable state, partly because of the interaction with the observer. Consciousness isn't just a bystander.
That is. That's huge. And it ties into this idea of a big emergence instead of a big bang.
Yes, rather than a chaotic explosion into space-time, it suggests a more ordered unfolding of space-time and matter from that underlying coherence, guided by Acquia.
And this could lead to actual technologies. Generative technologies.
That's the implication. Things that work with these coherence principles, not just manipulating matter as we currently do.
Okay, wow. This whole framework,
Yeah.
it really paints a picture of everything, space, time, matter, consciousness being deeply, deeply intertwined expressions of this underlying coherence.
It's a unified view, that's for sure. A profound shift.
It really is. Okay, let's try and pull some of this together. We've journeyed through this idea that reality isn't run by fixed laws imposed from outside.
Right, it's dynamic. It's driven by resonance structuring and coherent selection. Things find stable patterns within this deeper field.
And the key takeaway, for me anyway, was that dimensions are coherence behaviors, not containers.
Absolutely crucial. Space-time itself is a phase artifact. It's not the stage. It's part of the play, emerging dynamically.
Like those stable frequencies forming. You mentioned the math behind it. Deanna emerges when the coherent CN hits a critical value.
Exactly. It's like water freezing into ice. When the conditions, coherence density, are right, a new structure, a new phase, a dimension can crystallize and become stable.
That's such a powerful image.
Yeah.
And then there's the observer role, which we just touched on. It's not passive viewing.
No, it's active generative.
Yeah.
That moment of observation is when reality stabilizes in a coherence basin. The observer acts as that asymmetry resonance operator.
That meta-operator idea, M equals O plus CNM, combining our asymmetry with the universe's underlying consciousness symmetry. It's almost like a partnership in creating the experienced moment.
It suggests a deep connection between consciousness and the physical unfolding of reality, and it changes how we see forces, too.
Right. Forces aren't pushes or pulls from outside. Force is the echo of coherence deformation. I love that phrase.
Oh, it really captures it. And mass isn't stuff, it's coherence concentration. It's all internal dynamics of the field, gravity, electromagnetism. It's all about how these coherence fields interact and warp.
So it all flows from this generative descent, starting way back at that omnilectic invariance, through the universal field tensor, phi, and finally manifesting as, well, us and everything we see.
Exactly. Replacing the somewhat chaotic Big Bang idea with a more ordered big emergence, a cascade from pure potential into structured reality.
And unfoldment, like you said.
And looking forward, this coherence theoretic alternative isn't just philosophy. It points towards tangible possibilities.
The generative technologies bit, what kinds of things are hinted at?
Well, the source mentions things like coherence reactors. Imagine energy generation based on tapping into these fields. Fundamentally new types of energy extraction, even transmutation, changing elements at a basic level, and these resonance field devices that could interact with reality based on coherence principles.
That sounds like science fiction, but grounded in this different understanding of physics. A whole new era of technology, potentially.
A civilization scale physics, perhaps. And it connects deeply to biology and consciousness, too.
How so?
The sources suggest that living systems, maybe even our minds, can access higher coherence tiers,
Meaning?
manifesting potentially as things like enhanced healing or regenerative states, insights from dreams or altered consciousness. Even phenomena like psi interaction could be understood differently, perhaps as cross-shell coherence linking direct connections through these deeper fields.
So our own biology, our own consciousness, might already be interacting with reality on these deeper coherence levels.
That's the tantalizing possibility, yes, that we're more connected to these underlying dynamics than we typically realize.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping up, the big question this leaves us with, I guess, is for you, the listener.
If our familiar universe is just one projection, one stable resonance of this deeper coherence, and if our own consciousness isn't just watching, but actively participating as an operator in that field.
Then what does that open up?
Yeah.
What new possibilities emerge for how we understand ourselves, our reality, and maybe even what lies, beyond the everyday?
It's definitely something to ponder.
Absolutely. Yeah. Keep questioning, keep exploring, maybe even try to tune in a little differently to the world around you. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Thanks, everyone.